Hi everyone, it's Sue. I'm back here today to show you how I sew my signatures into my journal covers. First of all, I hope everyone's okay, but I also just wanted to say that this is my first ever voiceover. Everyone was home and everyone just refused to try and be a little bit quiet so that I could record this, so I had no choice but to do the voiceover. So what I'm showing you here is that I am just making a template and I'm measuring. I actually cut the template to the height of my cover, which is 9 inches, you can see there. I've folded that piece of craft cardstock in half lengthways, just to make it easier when I bind it. And you can see I've put a mark 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom, and then halfway, which would be 4.5 inches. If you don't want to measure halfway, you can just fold it in half and that will make your halfway point. So as you can see on the cover here, I did originally measure 1/2 inch in, which I realised was not enough because the pages will be a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter than the covers. So I've done 2 lots of dots 1/4 inch apart. Once again, 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the bottom, and then halfway. So on the second journal, I'm just going to show you how I do that. So I don't know whether you can see it really well here on the video. I've pretty much got that line of thread stitching there. That is about where the signatures need to be sewn in. And I've folded it so it's easier. I know I can see where the fold is. It's a little bit hard because the fabric's darker. So you can use your template if you want to do it this way to make your dots. I know that and this is pretty easy. 1 inch, once again, 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the bottom, and then halfway. I struggle a little bit with the pen and getting the dots to show on this darker fabric. So you'll see me redo them a couple of times. I'm just folding that over just to show you where the marks are using the template. I've done this so many times now that I don't always use a template, but that's how I first started out doing it. So now I'm just getting my bookbinding caddy. So this is something that I have in my shop. I worked hard with a beautiful couple to make this bookbinding caddy. So this is fantastic because it's got your cradle, all your threads, everything that you need to bind your journals all in one place. I love it. Once I've finished, I just pack it all away, put it in a drawer. Next time I need to bind a journal, I know where everything is and I'm not running around searching for everything. So this is really easy to put together. It's just got some lugs on the longer parts of the cradle and they just go in the holes there. They click in. So it's making a V. It's not hard to do. You could actually make this, put the cradle together and glue it, super glue it all together if you wanted to. I just find that I like to have everything compact. I've got a large craft room, but I don't like to have a lot of things lying around. So at least this way, this can just stick on a trolley once I'm not using it, or in a drawer. It's really stable. Those 2 middle legs make it a really stable binding cradle. So what I'm doing is first I'm going to poke the holes in my cover. And I've got my awl there. And once again, you probably can't see the holes too well on this dark fabric, but I've marked them there. And I'm just going to poke it through. And you can see in the cradle there is an opening, so that allows the awl to go through. I'm just popping my hand underneath there just to make sure I don't want to leave a great big hole. in the cover, but so once it comes through, I can just take the awl out. I'm sorry about the noise in the background, if you can hear that as well. I've got the fans going full blast. It's really, really hot here tonight. Okay, so I've done the 6 holes there. You can see the holes have come all the way through the cover. Now I'm going to move on to the actual papers in the signatures. So what I do is I just like to go through first, and because I've got all different size papers, I have a bit of a look and work out with some of the smaller papers, do I want them up the top, in the middle, down the bottom, and I just sort of move them around. So that one I'm doing, putting basically in the centre. Once I've worked out where I want them all to sit, I just compact them all down to the centre. Now I always like to use bulldog clips or large paper clips just to hold the papers all in place, particularly so when you've got smaller size sheets of paper in there, because they can tend to slip around a little bit. So with the cradle now, you just pop your signature in there, you use your template. I'm actually pre-poking the holes in the template, which you don't have to do. So now I'm going to pop the signature back in there again, put the template on top, and you'll see that the template is a little bit bigger, longer than the signatures. So if you I just eyeballed it, and it's about approximately 1/4 of an inch, I would say, longer at the top and the bottom. So just space that, and then once you've done that, just go through your template and through all your papers. And you'll see that they've all come through quite easily. So I'm just going to repeat that on the second signature. Once again, I'm just working out where my papers are. Another good rule of thumb is when you're sewing in your signatures, make sure you've got them up the front the right way. I've sewn in signatures upside down many times. So I always just like to make sure when I get to the stage and I'm sewing them into the covers that they're not upside down. It's not a big deal really, because you can just cut away the binding and rebind it. It's just more frustrating than anything. So I've just compacted all those papers in the signature down again. I'm just going to add clips. So this time I'm using the bulldog clips just to show you different type of clips that you can use. And once again, I'll just pop it in the cradle and poke my holes, leaving 1/4 of an inch top and bottom of that template. Now I haven't changed my template, but sometimes it's a good rule of thumb to mark your template top and bottom, right on them, top and bottom, just so that you don't pick your template, and if it's out a bit of, a mill or something, and you tip it around the opposite way, your signatures will sit lopsided in your journal. So I'm closing that all up now, but I really, not sure why I'm doing that, because I need the thread to actually sew the signatures in. That's why I love this bookbinding caddy so much, because everything is just in the one place. I've taken the whole spool out there because I had trouble. I tucked the thread into the spool and I had trouble getting it out. So as I had to take it out to unwind it, I thought I might just check, make sure that the thread isn't going to show too much on the outside. So I normally measure about 4 times the height of my journal. I find that that gives me plenty of thread. And I know I've got a needle in there somewhere. There it is. It's not conducive to having long nails trying to pick up a needle, as you can tell. I get there eventually. Okay. Finally got smart and used something to help me. So this is just a tapestry needle that I'm using, and the thread is a linen thread. It's not waxed, it's just a Gutermann linen thread. It's my favourite thread that I like to use, and I like to double it over. As you can see, I'm going to use the two strands to go through and bind the signature. So that was the first signature that I've just popped to the left there. I always start and bind, when I'm doing a multiple signature journal, I always start with the last signature first. I don't know why, whether when I first started out journaling, whether that was mentioned to do that, but I just find that that's easier. So for a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, you just start from the inside of your journal. Now I like to clip that thread under the clips that I've got in there, because so many times I've just pulled it through and I just keep going around in circles. So I just clip the tail underneath that clip, and then I can just keep on. You can see it's pulled taut there, and then I can just keep on threading the needle through now. So I go in from the inside of the journal to the outside. I go up to the top or the bottom hole and go from the outside through the inside. Now, I have to admit, guys, I struggle. Every journal I do, I struggle. This is the one part that I don't like, is actually binding a journal. And it frustrates me every single time. So you can see me, I just find that it's easier for me just to pull each page apart so I can see where it's going, because I can never seem to get the needle to go through the hole first time. Okay, so you need to pull that quite taut. You don't want it too loose, and you can see there that that's loose, and then I'm just sort of fiddling, and there you go, I've pulled it taut. So now you need to go up to the top hole and out to the outer cover. Going out from the inside of your book to the outer cover is always so much easier than coming in from the cover into the inside of your journal. I don't know why. Now you want to go, we're going to come right back into that middle hole again. Make sure it's taut. And this is the part that I really, really don't like. It's trying to find the hole And then you don't want to split any of those threads, so you want to try and poke the needle through the hole without splitting any of the threads, if you can do that. And you want the needle to come up the other side of the thread. So you can see I've got the thread that I've got clipped under the bulldog clip, and then I've come up to the other side. Once again, I'm just checking to make sure it's all nice and taut, and then I'm going to unclip that and I'm going to just tie a double knot. So I'm happy with that, and now I'm going to tie it off. You don't have to use 2 threads. This thread that I use would certainly be strong enough. I just like to think that the recipients of my journals won't have to worry about any of their signatures falling out. So that's just something that I like to do, but it's not necessary. So I'm just clipping that whole signature closed now so that it doesn't get in the way while I bind the first signature. So I'm just making sure, you can see there, I just make sure that the signature is facing the right way, and then I've done 4 lengths of thread approximately again. So I'm just going to repeat exactly what I did with the last signature. So I'm going to go from the inside of the signature to the outside of the journal. I'm going to clip that underneath that big paper clip. I'm just clipping down that closure too, so that I don't end up sewing it down where I don't want it sewn down. I know I'm making this look really awkward, but as I said, this is one part of the journal making that I always tend to get frustrated with. Okay, so you can see what's happened there is I've pulled the thread out from underneath that clip. So bulldog clips definitely work so much better, holding your thread down. So I'm just going to try again. So once again, once I go to the outside, I'm going to find the bottom hole there and go through my fabric cover through all the papers in that signature. I nearly got them all in one hit then. I think I've only ever managed to do it once, come through the hole from the outside of the cover to the inside. I think I've only ever done it once. Is there anything that you struggle with particularly when you put your journals together? It's funny, isn't it? We all seem to have something. So I'm just pulling that again, just making sure that I've got everything pulled taut, and I'm holding that thread because I wanted to pull it taut and I was worried about pulling it right through. So now I'm going to go through the center again and into the center of the journal, and then I'm going to pull the thread the other side of that long thread so we can tie a double knot. I'm just going to split all my papers in the signature here so I can see the needle going through the hole. I lost it there somewhere. You can see me really struggling there. Okay, so I've got it through there now, and as I said, make sure you bring it to the other side of that long thread. Just pull it taut, check the back, make sure it's all nice and taut and there's nothing too loose, and then just tie it off in a double knot again. It's really, really tough, this thread, because I was really pulling on that really, really strongly, really tightly. So I'm leaving my threads long at the moment because I don't know whether I'm going to have something hanging from them or whether I will trim them off, but that's something that I do once I start decorating. So that's basically how I put my journals together. You can see I'm just putting everything back. I love this thing. I know I've said it a couple of times already, but you can put everything away in the one place. Stick it in a drawer, and you just need to go to that drawer and you've got everything there to bind your books. Well, I hope this voiceover wasn't too painful for you to listen to, guys, but that's pretty much how I bind my journals. So that is the one thing that I struggle with, but I hope it helps someone learn something. So we're getting along with these journals. Next video will be the flip through. Thanks, guys. See you soon.